What was the creepiest thing you saw while visiting someone at their house? I went to visit a neighbor who had just moved into a bigger home. She had 11 children. I sat down at the kitchen counter as my neighbor was getting us tea. All of a sudden, the dishwasher slowly opens, from the inside, and out crawled a kid, couldn't have been more than 18 months old. Kid looks at me then crawls away. I thought I was on camera being punked somehow, but my friend never saw it and never skipped a beat in whatever she was talking about. It was weird, and the kid was creepy. Had a sleepover at a friend's when I was around 12. The dad sat at the dinner table in only his tidy whities and didn't say a single word. The entire family was clearly intimidated by him, as no one else said a single word for the entire meal either. I never slept over again. I went with a friend to this guy's house that she was seeing. She said he had a lot of collectibles, which is fairly normal since we are both collectors ourselves. We walk into his very large house. I'm pretty sure it had 5 bedrooms, and every surface, literally, every surface was covered in figurines. I'm talking about the edges of the staircase, the banister, in between the slats on the handrail, the kitchen counters, the coffee table, the tops of the cabinets, the edge of the bathroom sink, the window sills, hanging from doorways. There were countless bookshelves and display cases overflowing with collectible items. Nothing about the collectibles were creepy, it was just your run-of-the-mill nerd stuff, but oh my god, the sheer amount, it felt like a sarcophagus. A cabinet full of POO. God, I've been waiting for an excuse to tell this story. So I went to an art show with my GF and we met a nice girl. She's very talkative. Well, she was with my GF. I'm shy until I've had a drink or know someone. So I had a drink. This girl we met is no holes barred, will tell you anything. No filters. You ask, she tells. Cut to the good bit, party's ending and this girl says come back to ours. Her boyfriend was there too, but we hadn't really spoke, for a drink. Sounds great. Let's go. So we enter their home and we've all had a drink. I spot a bobblehead of John Cusack from Say Anything holding up a ghetto blaster. So drunkenly say, cool, I love John Cusack. Pleasant conversations are had, drinks are had. I'm talking to her, my GF is talking to him. It's been about 20 minutes when I just stop suddenly and take another quick gander at the massive display case in the back of the room. Is that a cabinet full of turds? She got so excited and he looked ashamed. It turns out they were all plastic poos and some were collectible items. She had a fascination with the story behind the first POO sellers. Door-to-door POO salesmen and practical joke providers. Apparently, if I recall correctly, there was a heated rivalry between two leading POO manufacturers. She had specimens of both their works and lots of newer, much more realistic ones. It was quite the look on my GF's face when she realized she had also not noticed a cabinet of POO for almost half an hour. And these were top quality fakes. I was convinced several of them were real. My other favorite moment was when me and her were sat on the floor looking through her record collection and somehow the conversation turned to comic books. I mentioned I collected comic books and graphic novels. Do you like Japanese comics? She asked excitedly. Nothing against them, I said, art's usually really good. Her face lit up and she was almost standing, excitedly heading to the door when her boyfriend just nonchalantly says, do not get the porn out. I've never seen anyone so disappointed. So in answer to the question, the cabinet of POO definitely took the prize, but if he hadn't intervened, I'm pretty sure hardcore Japanese comic book porn may have given it a run for its money. Edit, to everyone pointing out it's no holds barred and not holes. Thanks. That may have been embarrassing at some future point. I had an acquaintance who invited me to his home for a party. The guy was an amputee due to a diabetic foot, I think 'cause I didn't pry. But a few years back when he got it amputated, he decided it would be cool to get the bone kept. So this foot bone is used as a paperweight on his desk right now. Was creepy when I saw it, now I kinda think it's cool. I think he got the idea off an article once of some guy doing the same thing. My uncle had an entire room of pornography magazines and DVDs, just laying around. Stacks of magazines and boxes of videotapes. I stumbled upon it by accident when I was playing hide and seek with my cousin. He yelled at me that I couldn't go look at his dad's dirty books. Me, being a dumbass, asked why he didn't just clean them. Not something I saw, but I slept over at a friend's house whose grandma lived with the family because she was so old and losing her marbles. While getting ready for bed, my friend told me, "Don't worry if you wake up and see my grandma standing over you while you sleep, sometimes she forgets who my friends are. Just tell her, Grandma, it's okay, go back to bed and it'll be fine." It was in that moment that I realized I had made a terrible mistake deciding to sleep over. I thank my deep sleeping every day that I did not wake up in the middle of the night because an old woman was standing over me, watching. I did end up with bed bugs though. Which is why I never went over again. His 3 dogs sitting on his mantle. They were stuffed after they died. Back in high school, a longtime friend of mine used to work for a stereotypical eccentric rich guy, mainly charity and non-profit stuff. But he collected the rarest historical memorabilia, and my friend was giving me an unofficial tour of the room where this guy stored everything. 2 that freaked me out were Haitian slave shackles from colonial times and a cracked voodoo doll that was supposedly haunted. Nope, no thank you sir. I was visiting a friend as a child and she let me peek into her older sister's room. It was completely red. Red lacquered walls, red rug, red bedspread, lamp with a red light bulb in it. 11-year-old me was horrified. The friend's mom's boyfriend always leers at her daughter's friends, bonus if they are under 12. My husband and I were house shopping. We go with our realtor to view this one house that was super nice, checked all of our boxes, and within our price range. The first thing we noticed is there were security cameras in every single room. Even in the bedrooms. Odd, but whatever. We finally get to the master bedroom where there was a shrine of a maybe 5-year-old girl above the master bed. There were old bouquets of flowers and candles surrounding the shrine, which led us to believe the little girl was deceased. They even kept the girl's bedroom fully intact. We noped out so quick. They pulled the house off the market the next day. We suspect they were watching us on their surveillance. Not necessarily visiting, but for a couple months I lived in a house with an older woman, late 80s, whom I provided care for in exchange for room and board, rather than paying rent. Her late husband had been a doll maker, and I'm not sure if he still does, but at one time he held the Guinness World Record for the smallest doll with moving parts made without a magnifying glass. The parlor was lined with glass cabinets showing some of his best and favorite dolls. Nobody really hung out in that room because it was supposed to be kept nice for visitors. I wasn't even allowed to sit on the couches. So for the whole time I was living there, that room always had a musty, impersonal feel to it, even though it was cleaned and dusted regularly. I passed through that room every once in a while to look out the front window or on my way from my bedroom to the kitchen. Every once in a while I would take a quick peek into the glass cabinet and check up on my favorite dolls. That's when I started to notice that the dolls would change directions. They'd be facing front the first time I looked at them, but later in the day they'd be facing the side or the back. I told the owner about this and she said she never noticed it, but nobody could have been moving it because the cabinets were all locked with a key she kept in a secret place in her bedroom. The only people who ever came into the house were me, her sister, her brother-in-law, her grandkids, and the cleaning lady once a week. The majority of the time I was just the 2 of us, and her family hardly went into that room anyways. I always thought it was weird, but I never really thought it was that scary.